Hello everyone, I am Muid Ahmed Siddiqui, and in this video I will solve a few questions from the accounting for inventories chapter or inventory chapter from the ACCA paper F3 financial accounting. So let's start. Now here I would like you to pause this video and go through the question once, so it will make things easier for you. So this question requires you to find out values of inventory on 30th June 2003. Whereas we are given information, we are given the value of inventories on 7th July 2003. Now, which date comes first? Either it is 30th June or 7th July. Sir, 30th June comes first. 30th June is before 7th July. So 30th June here, 30th June. The values of inventories on 30th June can be regarded as opening inventory because 30th June is a date prior to 7th July. So we can say that the inventory held on 30th June is like like opening inventory in this period from the 30th June till 7th July. This short period, this 8 days period, the values of inventory on 30th June is like opening inventory, as 30th June is prior to 7th July. Or you can say that this period, 30th June till 7th July, starts from 30th June. That's why the values of inventory held on 30th June can be regarded as the opening inventory. Now, how do we calculate cost of goods sold? How do we calculate cost of goods sold? Or what do we do with purchases when we find out cost of goods sold? We simply add purchases. We simply add goods purchased in cost of goods sold. And why do we add purchases in cost of goods sold? Because when we make purchases, when we purchase goods, the inventory level rises, inventory level goes up. In the same way, when we sell goods, when we sell goods, as opposed to purchase, as opposed to buying goods from suppliers, what happens to the inventories? Inventory level reduces. So as inventory level reduces, now as inventory level reduces, we should do what? We should reduce, we should reduce these goods, we should reduce these goods from our opening inventory or from our stock, because when we make sales, goods go out of the stock, and this results in a decrease in the inventory level. Now, what will happen to the inventory level? In the same way, think over it. What will happen to the stock level or the volume of stock that you have in your inventory, or the volume of stock that you are holding? What will happen to the volume of the stock, volume of the inventories when you make returns to suppliers? When you return goods to your suppliers, definitely the level will go down. So we will also reduce. We should also do what? We should also again reduce, we should also subtract goods returned from opening inventory. We should again reduce these goods returned from the opening inventory. And finally, what will happen? This will give us the values of inventory on 7th July. on 7th July, and this will be our closing inventory. This will be our closing inventory, as 7th July marks the end of the period. 7th July is what? On 7th July is what? 7th July is the end of the period. 7th 30 June and 7th July. 7th July is the end of the period. 7th July is what? 7th July is the end of the period. End of which period? That is started from 30th June. That's why the inventory that we have on 7th July is our closing inventory. Now, what we actually did, we take the opening inventory, the inventory at the starting date of the accounting period. We add purchases to this inventory uh, as stock levels increase when we make purchases, when we purchase goods from the supplier, and we subtract those goods from the inventory that we sell, or the goods that actually go out of the stock, as because the volume of the stock will reduce, the value of the stock, the value of the inventory will reduce when goods go out of the stock. Now, another point worth noting here is that inventories are normally valued. Inventories are normally valued at cost. Inventories are normally valued at cost. So here I took cost. Now, here I have written goods sold at cost. So it means that while performing this calculation, you should only look at the cost of the goods, not the selling price or any other value, but actually the cost of the goods. Normally, the cost of the goods. Okay, now let me solve this question. This question requires you to find out the values on 7th July. The values on 30th June. Values on 30th June, and the inventory value on 7th July is already given. It means that you are given the closing inventory, you are given the value on 7th June, on 7th July, sorry, on 7th July, and all you have to do, you need to work back, you have to perform a reverse calculation. You have to perform a reverse calculation. Keeping this format in mind, you have to perform an opposite calculation to arrive at the values of inventory on 30th June. Now, on 7th July, how much was the closing inventory? The value of inventory was how much? The value of inventory was $950,000. Now, here in the format above, in this format, we added purchases, but now we are performing a reverse calculation. So what we need to do, we need to subtract purchases. Instead of adding purchases, we will subtract purchases here. How much were our purchases during this 7-day period? Our purchases were 11,750. So we will subtract the purchases. Less purchases. How much were the purchases? Purchases were 11,750. Okay, moving forward, sale of goods. Now, goods were sold for 14,950. Goods were sold for 14,950. How much should these goods have cost? The question is, how much should these goods have cost? Because as I told you, inventories are normally valued at cost. So while performing this calculation, we will only take the cost of the goods. The goods sold were for 14,950. How much was the cost of these goods? Simply take 14,950 and divide it by 1.15. As there is a markup on cost of 15%, divide this figure by 1.15. So it will become how much? 13,000. It will become how much? 13,000. Now, so goods costing 13,000 actually went out of the stock during this period. But on 7th July, but on 30th June, these goods were actually in the stock. These goods were actually in the stock, and during the period between 30th June and 7th July, these goods were sold to some customer, and these goods actually uh, went out from the stock. That's why now, as we are doing a reverse calculation, what we will do, we will add these goods. We will add these goods, and the cost of these goods, how much is the cost? $13,000. Yes. Moving forward, goods were returned to supplier, $1,500. During this period, goods were returned to supplier. Goods were actually taken out of the inventory that was present on 30th June. So these goods actually went out of the inventory that was in hand on 30th June. Now we will, as we are performing a reverse calculation, we will add these goods. Goods returned to supplier. How much? 1,500. We will add these goods as we are performing a reverse calculation. In the here you can see that I told you that we will subtract these goods. We will subtract these goods, the goods that went out of the stock, that actually went out of the stock, like goods that we sold to our customers, or the goods that we returned to our suppliers from the opening inventory to arrive at the closing inventory. Now here I am performing a reverse calculation. What I am doing, I have closing inventory, and from this closing inventory I am determining the value of opening inventory. So goods returned to supplier, these goods should have been included in in the values of inventory on 30th June, in the values of inventory on 30th June. And during this period, these goods were returned to supplier, these goods went out of the stock. That's why now I am adding these goods to the closing inventory, as it will remove the effect of goods returned to the supplier from the closing inventory, the inventory on 7th July. So I have added this $1,500 here. Now, so it looks like I have accounted for all the three transactions. Now, let's just find out the answer. What was the opening inventory on 30th June? Let me find out. 952,750. This is the correct answer to this question. This is the 9,000 952,750. So is the correct answer to this one. Now, question number 2. Which of the following costs may be included when arriving at the cost of finished goods inventory for inclusion in the financial statements of a manufacturing company? Which of the cost? Now the question requires you to tell which of these costs should be included in the valuation of inventories, the valuation of finished goods, the valuation of finished goods. Which of these costs should be taken? Carriage inwards. Now this cost actually relates to the purchases, the materials purchased, and we normally add these costs to the value of materials that we purchase. That's why this is a direct cost, and this cost should be included in the values of inventories. Now carriage outwards is a selling and distribution expense, is a selling and distribution expense. It is neither a part of prime cost, nor it is a factory overhead. That's why this cost should not be included in the valuation of finished goods. Depreciation of factory plant, again, this is another factory overhead. Depreciation of factory plant is another factory overhead. That's why it should be included in the valuation of finished goods inventory. Now finished goods storage cost again is a selling and distribution cost, and it is not a factory overhead. That's why this should not be included. So 2 and 4, these two costs should not be included in the value of finished goods. And factory supervisor's wages. Now factory supervisor wages, a supervisor who works in the factory. That's why again number 5 is also a factory overhead. So this should also be included in the cost of finished goods. So number 1, number 3, and number 5 should be included, and 2 and 4 should be excluded. That's why C is the correct answer to this one. Now moving forward, which of the following statements about the valuation of inventory are correct? According to IAS 2 inventories, inventory items are normally to be valued at higher of cost and net realizable value. No, this statement is definitely wrong, as the IAS requires us to value inventories at the lower of cost and NRV. That's why this statement number 1 is incorrect. The cost of goods manufactured by an entity will include materials and labor only. Overhead costs cannot be included. No. In fact, IAS2 emphasizes that overheads should be made a part of the value of inventory. Overheads should be absorbed when to values of inventories when we are doing inventory valuation, while doing inventory valuation. So again, this statement is once again this statement is also wrong, like statement 1. So 1 and 2 both are incorrect. Now in IAS 2 we are prohibited, and we are not allowed to use LIFO method of inventory valuation. So this statement appears to be correct. Selling less estimated profit margin may be used to arrive at cost if this gives a reasonable approximation to actual cost. Gives what? A reasonable approximation to actual cost. So normally what we do, we value inventories at cost, and if this thing, selling price less estimated profit margin, gives a reasonable approximation to actual cost, then it can be used. That's why again this statement is correct, like statement number 3. So now we have our answer. Statement 3 and 4 are correct, but statement 1 and 2 are incorrect. So now one is incorrect. That's why it this cannot be the right choice. A is not the right answer. Again, 1 and 2 both are incorrect, we know, so B cannot be the right choice. None of the statements are correct. We know that statement 3 is correct. We know that statement 3 is correct. So this cannot be the right choice. So C is the correct answer to this one. A company with an accounting date of 30th October carried out a physical check of inventory on 4th November 2003, leading to an inventory value at cost at this date of how much? 483,700. What figure should appear in the company's financial statement at 31st October 2003 for closing inventory based on this information? Now, we are given a company with an accounting date of 30th October carried out a physical check of inventory on, when did the company carried out physical check of inventory? On 4th November 2003, the company carried out physical check of inventory. But we are required to calculate value of inventory on 31st October 2003. And the following transactions took place between these two dates. So on 30th October, we should have, this accounting period is starting on 31st October and ending on 4th November. This means that on 30th October, we have like our opening inventory that we are required to find out. And on 4th November, we have closing inventory valued at 483,700. Now, this question should be done in the same way. This question should be done in the same way like I did the very first question in this video. Now, in preparing its financial statements for the current year, a company's closing inventory was understated by how much? $300,000. This means that the closing inventory was mistakenly valued at the $300,000, was less than what the value should have been, so and by how much amount? By $300,000. By this amount, the value of inventory was understated. Now, what will happen to the current year profit and the next year profit? Now, how do we calculate? Just recall, how do we calculate cost of goods sold? We take opening inventory, we add purchases to the opening inventory, we subtract the closing inventory to get the cost of goods sold. Now, think yourself, what will happen when the closing in if the closing inventory is understated by how much amount? By $300,000. What will happen? Just simply think over it. What will happen if the closing inventory is understated? What if I reduce the value of closing inventory? Now, here we are subtracting closing inventory. We are subtracting closing inventory to get the value of cost of goods sold. To get the value of cost of goods sold. So if this figure is understated, let's suppose the opening inventory, let me show you, the opening inventory is 5,000, purchases are 10,000, and the closing inventory is how much? The closing inventory is, let's say, 3,000. Now we will get cost of goods sold as 12,000. Now if I reduce this amount, let's say from 3,000 to 1,000, what will happen? That the cost of goods sold will increase. Now we subtract this cost of goods sold from the sales to get what? to get what? So to get the profit, we subtract this cost of goods sold from the revenue to get the profit. So cost of goods sold in some is something that reduces profits. So, and if closing inventory is understated, closing inventory is less than the amount at which it should be carried, so cost of goods sold will increase. Now, the closing inventory is understated, so the current year's profit will be understated. The current year's profit will be understated. Now, there is one more thing. This closing inventory will be the opening inventory for the next year. This means that it will also result in a change in the next year's profit. In the next year's profit, it will also have an impact on the next year's profit, as as this figure represents opening inventory for the next year's profits. Now it means that next year opening inventory will also be understated. So let us see what will happen to the cost of goods sold if we understate the opening inventory. Let's suppose I take opening inventory as 2000 instead of 5000. I take 2000. Now cost of goods sold has reduced from 14,000 to 11,000. Cost of goods sold has reduced. This means that profits, what will happen to the profits? The profits will improve. As the cost of goods sold will fall, the profits will improve in the next year. So next year's profit will be overstated. So C is the correct answer to this one. Now, this is the same question as we did in question number one. This is the same question, this is the same question as question number one. Now, look at this 6.9. Production overhead should be included in the cost on the basis of the company's normal level of activity in the period. Which of these statements are correct in accordance with IAS 2? This is a correct statement, as IAS2 emphasizes that production overheads should be included in the costs on the basis of company's normal level of activity in the period. This is a statement exactly in line with IAS2. That's why this one is the correct answer. This one is the correct answer. Now, let us look at some other statements. The other three statements, in fact, in arriving at the NRV of inventories, trade discounts and settlement discounts must be deducted. Now, to find out the values of inventories, we do take account of the trade discounts, but settlement discounts should not be but settlement discounts should not be deducted. That's why B is incorrect. Let's look at the statement number 3. In arriving at the cost of inventories, FIFO, LIFO and weighted average cost formulas are acceptable. No, IAS 2 prohibits the use of LIFO method, so this one is incorrect. It is permitted to use finished goods value at material plus labor cost only without adding production overheads. No, the IAS, the International Accounting Standard 2 IAS 2 emphasizes that production overheads be included in the cost of inventories. So again, D is again an incorrect statement. That's why A is the correct answer, and these three statements appear to be incorrect. What is the correct inventory valuation for inclusion in the financial statements? Okay, now let's look at question number 10. You are preparing the financial statements for a business. The cost of the items in closing inventory is how much? 41,000 $875. This includes some items which cost $1960. This includes some items which cost how much? $1960, and which were damaged in transit. Now, these items were damaged in transit. You have estimated that it will cost $360 to repair the item, and they can be sold for how much? $1,200. Now, what is the correct inventory valuation for inclusion in the financial statements? Now, IAS 2 recommends that we take in such situations, we look at the lower of we the lower of we take a value that is lower of net realizable value and cost. Now, for the NRV, net realizable value, how do we calculate net realizable value? We take expected selling price and we subtract cost of selling the goods from it to arrive at the NRV. So this is in accordance with IAS 2. This is in accordance with IAS 2. This is the, in fact, you can say that this is the main point uh, that IAS 2 makes about valuation of inventories. That inventory should be valued at the lower of net realizable value and cost. Now, what should be the NRV in this case? The inventory can be sold. The damaged inventory can be sold for $1,200. Can be sold for how much? Can be sold for $1,200. Plus, we also have to make an expenditure of $360 to get the items repaired. So we will subtract 360 from it. So the NRV will be how much? The NRV will be 840. Now, how much did these goods cost? These goods cost 1960. These goods, the how much? This includes some item which cost 1960. Now, these goods actually cost how much? These goods actually cost 1960. So, NRV, these goods actually cost how much? 1960. Now, the difference of the two, just take the difference of the two. This means the reduction in the value of the total inventory is 1120. The reduction in the value of inventory is how much? 1120. As the value has fallen, the value has fallen. Previously, the inventory was valued at a cost of 1960, but now the inventory should be valued at net realizable value, as the net realizable value is less than the cost, the original cost at which the items were purchased. So now the total reduction, the value of the total value of the closing inventory should be value of the inventory. How much is the value of the inventory? 41,875 minus 1120. This is how we will calculate the value of the total inventory. 41,875 minus 1120. 40,755. This should be the value of the total closing inventory. 40,755. So this is the correct answer to this one. So I hope that I have given you a good explanation of the questions, a good understanding of the concepts that I tried to explain in this video. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. It was Muhid Ahmed Siddiqui. Let me know if you need any kind of assistance. I am available on different social media platforms. Thank you very much.